So, not long ago, we talked about how Alabama could receive fireworks in the month of July, and already that's exactly what we're seeing. And today, we need to break down the newest addition to the Crimson Tide's recruiting class, four-star defensive back out the state of California, Zabien Brown, and why this is a massive get for the Crimson Tide. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Zabien Brown chose Alabama? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, as always, who is Zabien Brown? Well, Zabien Brown is a top 100 prospect in the nation regardless of position, but is one of the best cornerbacks there is. If we look specifically, he comes in as the number 61 player in the nation, a top 10 cornerback coming in at number 7, and a top 10 player in the state of California coming in at number 6. And one of the most intriguing things, in my opinion, about Zabien Brown is where he plays his high school football modern day. And whenever we talk about schools like a modern day, there's always an intriguing conversation that needs to be had. The level of competition he faces on a day-in, day-out basis is higher than your average high school athlete. And because of that, his ability to make the transition from high school to college, in theory, could be a little bit easier. And it's always intriguing to get players from a modern day, from these Trinity leagues, from an IMG, because they're facing guys that are going to be playing on Saturdays in practice, and then when it gets to game time, there are more college football players on that field that they may be facing in a few years. So it's always intriguing to be able to get wins from places like this, especially when we're talking about a modern day, and they have a blue chip, very talented quarterback. You know those battles are awesome to watch. I wish I could go to some of those practices and watch Zabien Brown line up against those wide receivers with that very talented quarterback throwing the ball around. Those practices have got to be so much fun. But what does Alabama get in Zabien Brown? And the first thing you're going to notice is he is a rangy quarterback. He stands 6 foot, 180 pounds. But when you turn on the film, there's a lot he can do. He has got supreme coverage skills, and his ability to break on the ball is what I find to be very impressive. And he was able to generate multiple turnovers utilizing that ability. Even if we look at some of the 7-on-7 film, and I understand 7-on-7 is not the end-all be-all of film. High school film, college film, obviously much better, but for cornerbacks and wide receivers, you can get a little bit of an understanding off of 7-on-7. Not a ton, but a little bit. And whenever you watch him in those settings, you can tell they don't look his way very often. He is sticky. And the thing I really loved was watching some of those 7-on-7s, and he already has an understanding of zone, where they were passing off wide receivers as they flooded through the zones, and he was able to pick it up instantly. I love that, because in college, that's going to happen. And being able to recognize what's in front of you and be able to make plays based off that, well, that shows football IQ. And if you were watching his film, you'd realize athleticism was never the question. This is also a guy that succeeds in track, so he is a very athletic individual. Seeing that football IQ alongside it, that's an awesome combination. And if memory serves correct, Alabama recently got a prospect from modern day, and it turned out pretty good for the Crimson Tide, and they're hoping Zabien Brown can continue in prospects going from modern day to Alabama and having phenomenal careers. He certainly has all the tools. But we also need to talk about Travaris Robinson, because this is a guy that whenever he was hired by Alabama, I was really excited, because not only what he brings to the table in terms of development, Nick Saban already known for the defensive back development, and then you bring in a guy like Travaris Robinson, who everywhere he's been able to not only recruit very talented defensive backs, but been very successful working with them, developing them. When you get those two together, that has got to be an intriguing pitch. And we also need to understand that Alabama was just able to walk into the state of California and get a big win over the USC Trojans. And USC is on a really hot streak in recruiting right now. There is a lot of excitement about the Trojans amongst these prospects, and they've been able to get several big wins, especially big wins in their state, especially at the defensive back position. But this is one Alabama is very glad they came out on the receiving end of, because of how gifted Zabien Brown is. Alabama loves that they were able to get this win over USC, and whenever we're talking about USC, yes, the defense must improve. We all know this, But Coach Williams out there is a hell of a recruiter, and anytime you can get a win over him, it is a notable win. Because, like I said, whenever that guy walks into living rooms, he's able to convert at a high clip. Look at the guys he's been able to win on in battles, and it's very impressive. So, for the Crimson Tide, this is a fantastic win. I've always said this, if you're a defensive back, it has got to be so difficult choosing against Alabama. And yes, I understand. I think Coach Williams for USC is a phenomenal defensive back coach. I think he's a great recruiter, but even then, you're going up against Alabama. You know what that brand is. You know what the development is. You know what the winning standard there is. You know what Nick Saban does in terms of developing defensive backs. I mean, just look in the NFL. Alabama DBs are everywhere, and they look to have another one going in the first round this year in Kool-Aid McKinstry, so it just continues. It's impossible to argue with that pitch if you're going up against the Crimson Tide. This is a fantastic win, and I can't wait to hear from Alabama fans. Hop down to the comments and let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.